Yo, what's good, everyone? Welcome to the Fantasy Football Prodigy channel. And in this video, I am once again going to be setting my lineups across my 3 fantasy football leagues. Got some redraft, some dynasty, some half PPR, some non-PPR, all sorts of good stuff to get into. So with that being said, let's get right into the video. So I did not make a video last week. It's the first week that I missed for my lineup setting videos this season. I just didn't have time during the week. I just got caught up with some stuff. So in this video, I'm going to include recaps of Week 12 and Week 13 as we prepare for Week 14 of the 2022 fantasy football season. There are some big games where I need some wins in these leagues. So we're going to start with a redraft league, the League of Bros. Non-PPR, in Week 12, I just barely lost. My Mugglin Buffaloes barely lost. I had Jonathan Taylor. He had Michael Pittman. It just came down to that. I think it was Monday night. It was either Sunday night or Monday night, but it was the last game of the week for either of us, and he won by less than a point. So, and in this league, in terms of injuries, I know I had Javonte Williams on this team. I dropped him because he was out for the season, but yeah, that was a tough week, tough break. But then the following week, get this, I end up winning by a little over 2 points. So back-to-back weeks decided by just a couple points, and I remember this one came down to the wire as well. It was Jonathan Taylor. I had Jonathan Taylor. It was another night game involving JT, and my opponent had Dak Prescott, and somehow it worked out. At the end of that game, the Cowboys defense just kind of put it away, and they were just winning by so much. Dak really didn't have to throw for too many yards, although we did have 3 touchdowns, but I got the lucky win. It was nice to have Justin Fields back. And then a while back, we did trade Garrett Wilson away. This was before he really started to break out. For Hollywood Brown, I traded Garrett Wilson to a team that kind of needed a player now. So I gave him Garrett Wilson, and I got Hollywood Brown because he was injured at the time, and he is just now coming back from injury. So you'll see later that we are going to be starting him this week. But in terms of transactions that I've made here, I'm not going to get really in-depth just because I don't want this video to be like super long, especially since I'm covering multiple games, multiple weeks since I missed a week. But if you will notice, we're approaching the playoffs here. I'm pretty much locked into a playoff spot here. So I went ahead and added a couple defenses. The Seahawks defense, you'll see on my team, I like them the best out of every defense I have this week, but I'm looking ahead at the playoffs. The Cardinals in week 15, they play the Denver Broncos, which is surprisingly a great matchup. They also play the Falcons in week 17. And then Tennessee Titans play the Houston Texans in week 16. So I did also want to add the New York Giants, who play the Houston Texans in week 17, I believe. But I just didn't have the space quite yet. So maybe in a week or two, I'll try to scoop them up. But these are the standings. 6 teams make the playoffs. It's a 12-team league, non-PPR, like I said. They're the number 1 seed, locked and loaded at 10-3, although on a 2-game losing streak. So we'll see what happens with that. But they are locked in for a bye week because the top 2 seeds get a bye. Then FKD, that is who I am playing this week. Okay, so if I beat FKD, I will have more points than him. And if these teams lose, I will be that number 2 seed. Or if these teams win, or one of them wins, whatever, and I win, we're both 9-5. It's going to come down to that points tiebreaker. I'm a little bit behind these teams, so there's a lot of scenarios at play here. But I am playing FKD, so I'm just going to focus on what I can control. It's looking like he is going to be without Kenneth Walker, no Kamara, no Curtis Samuel, no Drake London. So you know, he does have Raheem Mostert that he could maybe put in at running back. So obviously a downgrade from Walker, but against the Chargers, that's a good matchup. And I think I wouldn't be surprised if Mostert or Jeff Wilson had a good game. Just have to see how the work gets divided up and who makes plays. But I am not without my own absences. No Jonathan Taylor, no Justin Fields, no Courtland Sutton. Not that I really wanted to start him anyways, but it is what it is. And then this is the same screen. I had the same tab open. That's pretty cool, huh? All right. Anyways, no really tough decisions in this league. I do have Kirk Cousins. He was the quarterback I drafted, and I've just kind of been rocking with him. Obviously, I picked up Justin Fields, and when he's active and playing, and they're not on a bye week, I'm going to play Fields. But I have to play Kirk Cousins this week, and he's playing the Detroit Lions, and I'm hoping my Minnesota Vikings can get a win, but I'm a little bit nervous. But one thing I do know is that I'm pretty sure the Lions are going to put up points at home against that Vikings defense. So I think Kirk will have to throw the ball, and I think good things will happen for fantasy. Miles Sanders, for my team, he's pretty much an every week start against the Giants. It just kind of depends on their game plan, what they want to do in Philadelphia for that Eagles team. But hopefully they run the ball through with Sanders. Rhamondre Stevenson is an auto start each and every week, especially against the Cardinals. I think he's going to eat them up. I don't think Damian Harris is going to, I heard. And if he does, he's going to be kind of not 100%. Tyreek Hill, obviously, he is just a stud. You play him every week no matter what. DK Metcalf is questionable. Last I heard, he is going to play against the Panthers. If he's active, I'm going to play him unless he's on like a significant snap count, in which case I would put Hollywood Brown in for Metcalf at wide receiver, and then put Latavius Murray in the flex. And then, pro tip, if I were to do that, Latavius Murray would actually, I'd want to put him at running back and Rhamondre Stevenson at the flex, because you want your later players in the flex just in case you need to make a late switch, let's say come Monday night. Maybe, I need to make a substitution for Rhamondre Stevenson. If he's in my flex, I can play a running back or wide receiver. If he's at running back, I can only replace him with a running back. Then Dalton Schultz at tight end. I think the Cowboys are going to destroy the Texans. They might not need to score that many points, but they will score some points early, I'm assuming. So you just got to play your options and just hope that they're involved in the slaughter early on, because I think the Cowboys are just going to destroy the Houston Texans. But yeah, I'm playing Hollywood Brown. Last week, he came back from that injury. Only 46 yards, but he saw 8 targets, and he was on the field a lot from what I heard. So just based on, Jonathan Taylor being on bye, I'm going to be starting Hollywood Brown. If JT was playing, I would be starting him over Hollywood. But and I just think he has a little bit more upside than Latavius Murray. Obviously, Murray, he's the main running back for the Broncos, but it's not a good offense. And with the game script, I expect the Broncos to be losing. So I think Latavius Murray has a nice safe floor, but I don't expect him to have a big explosive week. And I'm also without Courtland Sutton, like I said. And hopefully Njoku can kind of get back healthy. We got Jason Meyers at kicker. Then I am playing the Patriots defense against the Cardinals. It's not necessarily the best matchup. If I still had that Seattle Seahawks defense, I would probably play them against Carolina over the Patriots against Arizona. But these are my options, and I don't want to roster 4 or 5 defenses. So it is what it is here. But I do eventually want to add that Giants defense. But moving on to our next league, it's another redraft league. So this was a standard draft. We did our draft like a snake draft with 12 teams. This is a 10-team half PPR Superflex, and it was an auction draft. Okay, so I think this league has been, I think this is the 10th year of this league. I have 3 championships in this, 2 or 3. And this league, I have 1 out of 4 years. So we're looking for number 2. In week 12, I was able to get a much needed win. And Geno has been great for my team. Aaron Jones has been up pretty solid, although a little inconsistent. Kenneth Walker, I drafted him at the draft, and I held on to him because I had a feeling Rashad Penny at some point would go down, and he's been great for my team. Jonathan Taylor, it's looking like he's finally starting to kind of come around, but my tight end position has been pretty weak lately. Just been kind of trying to stream the position. I drafted Zach Ertz, and at one point I traded Ezekiel Elliott away for Dallas Goedert. Well, I lost Ertz and Goedert in the same week. Ertz for the season, Goedert put on injured reserve. And you'll see in a little bit, I wish I did have Ezekiel Elliott, and you'll see why in a second here. And then week 13, I didn't score many points, but I was able to get the win over a team that had a solid record. At one point, this was a number 1 seed, but things have kind of turned sour for them, even though at one point they did trade away McCole Hardman straight up for Joe Mixon. So maybe that's a little bit of karma. I don't know. But I got an ugly win, we'll call it. Not too many points on either side. Honestly, not too much to say there. In terms of recent transactions, I mean, I won't go over every transaction that's been done in this league, but my transactions lately, we'll go back. Let's do this. Kind of recently. I added Darius Slayton. I also added James Cook and dropped Sky Moore. So that's kind of what I've done recently. I did also drop Curtis Samuel. Did he get picked up? He did get picked up. And he is on bye, so I wouldn't be able to start him anyways this week. But, of course, I drop him and he gets 7 targets. It's like, I think I dropped him after week 11, actually. But not really a big deal either way. And in this league, I am in desperate need of a win. So it's a 10-team league, but only 4 teams make the playoffs. So I'm a couple games back. There's 2 games left. So these playoffs do not start next week. They start 2 weeks. So I have this week and next week to make up a 2-game setback. So these teams all, at least one of these teams has to like lose 2 games, and I have to win 2 games. And these teams both have to lose at least 1 game so that they don't finish with 9 wins. You know what I'm saying? So it's looking a little bleak, but I'm not going to give up. I'm just going to control what I can control, set my lineup. But it's been an up and down year. We had a very, very rough start to the season. I think I started 0-4 or 0-5 in this league. But 1, 2, 3, 4. We're ranked 5th in total points scoring, and that's including like having a slow start to the season in terms of scoring, at least if I'm remembering correctly. Points against were kind of in the middle too, but I'm actually curious here. Like a schedule. Yeah, here we go. I want to see my schedule here. So yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. We started 0-5, and we've kind of put things together a little bit, but after a start like that, it's just tough. We faced a team that put up 150, the team that scored 129, and then my opponent had a bad week finally, and then I had an even worse week, just barely by 3 points. I finally have a bounce back week, but then my opponent has a good week. I just got blown out that week, and then I finally got a win in week 6, and then week 7 I lost by like, a couple points. So there's just a few things that happened this year where if it goes a little bit differently, maybe we're in the hunt a little bit better, but you know what? So this is my matchup this week. You're going to see my team and why I wish I had Ezekiel Elliott. I mean, you can kind of see it already. It's just I'm in a bad spot this week. And my opponent, they did have Derek Carr start already, luckily on Thursday, only 2.5 points. But I did start his tight end for the Raiders, Foster Moreau, and he only had 0 points. So not what I was hoping for. I really could have used Zach Ertz or Dallas Goedert. That's all I'm going to say. But this week, no Jonathan Taylor, no Aaron Jones, Kenneth Walker. It's looking like he's not going to play. I did draft Javonte Williams in this league. He has obviously been out for the year for a while. So those top 4 guys that I could have had for the year are just not available this week. No Jakobi Meyers, no Brian Robinson on bye. Obviously JT and Aaron Jones are on bye. They're not injured. Knock on wood. I think this door is made out of wood. But no Brandin Cooks, where I wouldn't want to start him, but I mean at this point I would take him. No Goddard, no Ertz. It's looking rough. It's looking rough. Like a guy like Jakobi Meyers or Brandin Cooks would be much needed right now. But the main thing I'm struggling with this week is running backs with the bye weeks and the injuries. So just going through this lineup, I'm playing Kirk against Detroit. I'm playing him over Dak just because I think there's a good chance that Dak might not need to do very much, kind of like we saw last week. I think he's a good bet for a safe floor, like 15 to 20-ish. But even if he got over 20, like I could definitely see this being a game where Cowboys come in, they get a defensive score, the running backs kind of do the work, and Dak maybe scores a touchdown or 2. I don't think he's going to have a big upside game. So I do wish I had Ezekiel Elliott in hindsight, because I would definitely be starting him over Gus Edwards. They're getting Dobbins back for the Ravens, and Kenyon Drake is involved. So it is possible. I don't know as of this recording. I am recording this at 3:45 a.m. Degenerate. But I am recording this at nearly 4 a.m. on December 11th, Sunday. So I'm still waiting to see what's going on with Seattle. Travis Homer did get picked up. So the only real option would be Tony Jones. I'm waiting to see if there's a report that comes out that says like, oh, maybe he'll be used on early downs. Travis Homer used in like a different role. So if Tony Jones if it comes out that he's going to see a big role with those injuries in Seattle, I might pick him up and play him over Gus Edwards. And if I do make that change or any other changes, I will always comment it down below and put it in the description. But James Cook, I'm playing him against the Jets. He had 14 carries last week, 6 receptions. So obviously Singletary is there and involved, but we'll see how the work gets distributed. But I'm hoping that he has a pretty good game here. And I'm going to need some luck this week, because even though my opponent doesn't have a good record, he's got some playmakers on that team. Jalen Waddle is an auto start. Metcalf, I need him to be active. I mean, if he doesn't play, I mean, what am I going to do? I'm going to have to end up dropping like one of these players, probably like Mike White or Brian Robinson or Jakobi Meyers, someone just to make roster space. Brandin Cooks, put someone else on IR. It's just very rough. Joshua Palmer, I got to play him. Look, he's talented and he was great with those missing weapons for the Chargers, but now Keenan Allen and Mike Williams are both going to suit up. I would prefer to lean away from Josh Palmer just because now he's going to move down that depth chart with both of those top guys healthy. But I'm expecting that to be a high-scoring game against that Miami Dolphins offense. The Chargers can score. They're looking healthy now. So maybe Palmer, he might not see as much involvement as he would in the past with injuries to the other players, but I'm hoping he can make a big play or two, maybe get in the end zone. So just with my other options, I kind of have to roll with them. Then I already played Moreau. Then at flex, this is where things get interesting. So first of all, if this is my final lineup, I will put Waddle or Palmer to the flex just because he's playing later than Darius Slayton. So if I need to pivot away from Palmer at the last minute, put in a running back or a wide receiver or technically a tight end. Not that I really want to do that, but I'm really dealing with a tough decision. So it's Darius Slayton in the flex, either him or DJ Chark for the Lions, who is playing against the Minnesota Vikings, or Corey Davis, who's playing against the Bills. So Darius Slayton, he's been really good lately. It's kind of been predicated on some long receptions, but that's kind of always been his specialty. But now he gets the Philadelphia defense, that's a very tough secondary. I know against Dallas he had 63 yards, but he had one kind of long catch, and if he didn't have that, it would have been an abysmal game. So I can definitely see that happening against Philadelphia. And DJ Chark, he's got a way better matchup, but he's more of their wide receiver 2 for the Lions, because Amon-Ra is going to get his. But it's a way better matchup, and I think more points will be scored in that Vikings and Lions game. And also, if I do drop Darius Slayton right now, that means that he will go on waivers, so I won't be able to pick him back up immediately. You know what I mean? So I want to make sure DK Metcalf is playing. As of now, my gut is just telling me to play DJ Chark. I just think that the Lions are going to put up more points. It's very tough. And then with Corey Davis, I think that Bills defense, they've been exposed a little bit at times this year lately. And I think the Jets with Mike White, I think that offense can move the ball at least respectably. But last I heard, there is going to be a little bit of snow or rain, just precipitation at that Bills game. So, and I already have one Bills player, so that kind of limits my upside. And the Jets, all right, I have one player in that game. I guess Corey Davis he's not a Bills player. He's in the same game, but you know what I mean. So, maybe that wouldn't be a bad idea. I don't know, but my gut is telling me DJ Chark. So I'm just going to hold off. But as long as Metcalf is active, I'll comment it down below if I change it. But, we'll see. We'll see what I do. You'll probably have to tune in next week because I'm probably going to push this decision all the way to game time. I don't want to say one way or another because I think Slayton is the more solidified guy in his offense, but Chark just has the better matchup, man. It's tough, and he only needs one play, and the Vikings love to give up big plays. But yeah, those are the really tough decisions. Geno Smith, I'm playing him over Dak just for the same reasons I mentioned with Kirk. Just the upside. And that Seattle team with no running backs, they might have to throw it a little bit. Now we're on to the Dynasty League, 10-team league, half PPR, one quarterback. So in week 12, I had the most points in the league, just barely. And we do have a little bonus, a weekly bonus for having the most points, so that was nice. But my team just kind of went off. Miles Sanders had nearly 30. I'm hoping he can replicate that this week. JT had 17. Hopkins had 16. Dalton Schultz had a couple touchdowns. Look at the rest of the squad. Obviously, of course, I sit DJ Moore finally against the Broncos, and he only has 4 catches, but goes for 103 and 1. That's DJ Moore for you. Luckily, in that trade that I acquired DJ Moore in the offseason, I also got Tua. So he's actually been more of a contributor to my team than DJ Moore, who was the focal point of the trade. But then the next week, after scoring the most points, I then had the least points. That's kind of been the name of my team this year. Just not able to be consistent. But yeah, the only person other than McCaffrey that showed up was maybe Pirine, filling in for Mixon. Especially with these big benches, I like to kind of handcuff my main starters in if I can. I didn't play Bam Knight, not that it would have made a difference, but I probably should have. Probably should have played him. And Courtland Sutton got goosed. And then Zay Jones, I finally put him in the lineup after being solid all year, coming off a big game, and he goes out there and has 2.6. It was just a rough week. But here are some transactions here. We'll just go to my team. I had a Trent Sherfield, drop Benny Snell. I only had Benny Snell because of that. They had some injuries there. with Najee and some people, but it ended up not turning into much. But I do still have Zonovan Knight. And these are the standings. So 6 teams make the playoffs. So 1, 2 they're locks, I think. Yeah, they're locked in. I'm at 8 wins. So it's really us 3 at 8 and then these 2 teams at 17. So if I win, I'm in. And I am playing this team. I will especially be in. But ultimately, if I'm tied with the Bone Squad for that last spot, he also has to make up that point differential. Because I believe our tiebreaker is points scored. So he would need to make up that ground. If I lost and he won, we'd both be 8 and 6. He would also need to get the most points. So hopefully the Bone Squad doesn't have a blow-up week. I'm just hoping I can get that win and just kind of lock it down. But at the very least, I'm not going to get a bye. I believe the first 2 teams in this league do get a bye. I'm so far behind these 2 teams in points that even if I tie Warner 3 right here with 9 wins, he's still going to have that points tiebreaker. So I'm just hoping I can make the playoffs, make the dance, and just see what happens. That's ultimately all you can do. This is the matchup that I am playing this week. If you care to see. He's got some good players. I'm missing Kamara, missing Aaron Jones, so that is huge for me. No Darnell Mooney, no Meyers. So, in some leagues, I'm missing some of those players, but in this league, it is actually going to help me out. No Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who actually traded to this team a long time ago. And I think in return, I got like Calvin Ridley. Those were the 2 main pieces. And in the end, they're both kind of not doing much. But Michael Thomas, and then I believe I traded Calvin Ridley away for something. Involved in that DJ Moore trade, funny enough. It's a long story. But Michael Thomas, he's out. I'm without Goedert, without Pitts. Who else am I at with? Claypool, not that that matters. Sutton. Zay Jones is questionable. No Jonathan Taylor. Darrell Williams. No Edmonds. No McKissick. So we're without some players. But I am starting Tua against the Chargers. I'm thinking that could be a high-scoring game. Miles Sanders, just based on my options, he's a nice, solid play every week. And when the offense flows through him, he can put up big games. Mixon, he's back from his concussion. Great matchup against Cleveland. So he's back in the lineup, no questions asked. McCaffrey, I mean, what are we talking about? You play him every week. He is the offense. Latavius Murray, he is a question mark. So he's in there right now, but I might change that. And then at wide receiver, I am playing Godwin, Hopkins, and Mike Williams. Dalton, Schultz at tight. And then I am playing the Cardinals defense against the Patriots over the Chargers against Dolphins. Not that I really like the Cardinals defense against the Patriots, but it's just the best option I have, and there are no options on the waiver wire. So as of now, I have Latavius Murray in there against the Chiefs. I don't really like the game script, but I think you'll see, 10 to 15 carries and have a nice solid floor. The reason I have him in there is because, no Jonathan Taylor. I'd obviously play JT over him. Donovan Knight, Michael Carter should be back for the Jets, so that kind of limits him. Mike Boone, there's an interesting case that you can make that the game script will be better for Mike Boone, but we just haven't really seen him thrive in that role. He missed some time with an injury, and he's coming back from that, and I heard he was going to have an expanded role, but it's just too risky to put him out there at this point. I got to see it first, and I know it's crazy, but I had DJ Moore in there, but I'm just thinking about it, man. Like, DJ Moore against that Seattle secondary, they have some really good defensive backs there. And I think the Panthers are going to try to run the ball on the Seahawks a lot. So DJ Moore is talented enough where he can have a good game any week, but he has just had abysmal quarterback play for his whole career. I know Sam Darnold supplied him with a good game last week, but Darnold and DJ Moore were together all year last year, and it was the same old song and dance. You just never know when to start DJ Moore. Even last week, yeah, he had 103 yards and a touchdown. It was on 4 receptions. Okay? Him having a good game, or I should say week 12. Did I say last week? I meant week 12. But it's just so hard to predict. So as of now, I'm going with Latavius Murray. Again, if I make any changes, I will comment it down below, put it in the description. But so yeah, Latavius Murray versus DJ Moore. I never thought that was a decision I would have to make this year, but it is apparently. So that's a tough decision. And then the Darius Slayton DJ Chark, Corey Davis one. That's another tough one. So I still have to monitor like what's going on in the news with some of these players, especially that Seattle Seahawks backfield. But we'll see what's going on with this, okay? And I think Tony Jones. Tony Jones is a free agent in this league. Assuming Travis Homer was picked up at some point. Tony Jones is available. I mean, is this a situation where I pick him up just in case it comes out that he's going to be used? You know what? Just in the off chance that Sunday morning Pete Carroll comes out and says Tony Jones is going to get a significant workload. I think Travis Homer will be the main running back there, but at the very least, he might be their second option. So I'm going to pick him up over Trent Sherfield. Trent Sherfield is a wide receiver for the Miami Dolphins, is someone who I'm just holding on to. I just picked him up recently, almost as a handcuff for Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle, even though I don't have those guys on my dynasty team. If one of them were to go down with an injury, I think Trent Sherfield would be someone that's picked up across leagues and people would love to have on their team. So I'm kind of holding him as a stash. With Tony Jones, he's also a stash handcuff type that is going to see that role increase this week. So I'm going to pick him up and just add him, drop Trent Sherfield, and just see what happens, okay? It's probably nothing, but it's, if something does happen, I want to have him on my team, not have someone else pick him up, okay? So we need a win in all of our leagues. There's playoff implications in every single league. I think we're looking pretty good, at least in a couple of these leagues, okay? So thank you guys for watching. Sorry I missed last week. I will try not to do that again. All right. But thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Please make sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. And I'll talk to you guys later.